If you've ever tried to buy a home in a hot market, you know that any edge you can give yourself over other prospective buyers is something you should try to take advantage of. And in today's seller's market, it's not uncommon for homeowners to receive letters from potential buyers filled with loving praise for their abodes, along with info about the potential new residents. Sometimes they even include family photos, so the sellers feel like they know exactly who they're selling their homes to. But of course, in the world we live in, even that is now controversial. One letter recently shared by the Boston Globe talked about how the would-be buyer could envision, quote, precisely what it would look like to have the girls' room and all their toys scattered about, and that stepping into your house, I instantly knew it was more than just a house, it's a home. It seemed to me these are just sort of heartwarming, at times cheesy, but harmless efforts to get an edge when buying a home. But some now believe that these letters from prospective buyers could allow for bias to creep into the home selling process, and now one Rhode Island lawmaker is setting out to stop them. Last month, Democratic State Representative Terry Cortvrend introduced a bill which would require real estate agents to, quote, reject any communication other than customary documents. According to legislation, banning these kinds of letters to help sellers, quote, avoid selecting a buyer based on the buyer's race, color, religion, sex, sexual orientation, national origin, marital stats, or familial stats as prohibited by the Fair Housing Act. According to the bill's supporters, if owners choose a buyer based on whose story they can relate to most as opposed to who makes the highest offer on the property, then instead of sales hinging on finances, these letters end up allowing people to factor in improper details when selling a home. I just think it's condescending that the sellers need their help to avoid their own biases and legally dubious because it prevents a buyer from sending a letter. Similar legislation was passed in Oregon last year, but it was blocked after a federal judge issued a preliminary injunction saying that the law too broadly restricts free speech in violation of the First Amendment. Now on its website, the National Association of Realtors warns that, quote, using protected characteristics as a basis to accept or reject an offer as opposed to price and terms would violate the Fair Housing Act. That is an accurate and fair warning. But what's the need for the legislation, since even the Rhode Island Association of Realtors takes it a step further, explicitly telling agents not to deliver letters that provide details that indicate the buyer's race, color, national origin, religion, sexual orientation, or other protected class status, and to not show homeowners photos of prospective buyers. Now, that's just an effort to avoid getting the realtors in trouble. I am less interested in what the realtors think about this than about the right of a prospective buyer and seller to make the best deal possible based on the most information. As a seller, I don't want the help to avoid any of my own supposed biases. And as a buyer, I want to be able to make my best case. But here to tell me what I am getting all wrong is the author of the bill, Rhode Island State Representative Terry Cortvrend. Thank you very much for coming on the show. Appreciate it. All right. What am I totally missing here?
I just think you pretty much said, I think it could bring in unconscious, subconscious bias into the process. And I just thought it was worth having a conversation. This is the first time it's been introduced, and since I introduced it, we became aware of the injunction in Oregon. So I am not going to advocate that we move the bill forward knowing that. But I think it was worthy of a conversation, and that reference that the reference you gave to the Rhode Island Realtors, I did see that, but that's very recently dated. So perhaps just bringing a spotlight to this issue. And to be honest, I'm totally shocked by the overwhelming amount of press that I've gotten on this issue. You know, maybe that's all we need, just to do a check. And perhaps the realtors can do a better job of policing themselves. I'm not standing on a soapbox. So I just thought it was worth having a discussion with all the discussions around equity, and we have a housing crisis. That's true. So
yeah, and I appreciate that. But what do you make of my argument that, you know, why shouldn't a seller be able to have as much information as they want to have? Why shouldn't they be able to say, you know what, I'm a huge pet lover, and I love the fact that this family has a cute as can be cat that I could see living in my home, and I'm willing to take, if it's two equal offers, I'll take the one with the cat because I want to have my next house have a cat in it. What's the problem with that?
It was more for the legislature to have a discussion about whether there is any problems, because we do have a Fair Housing Act, and we're not supposed to discriminate.
Right.
Still, we really should have included disabilities in there too. And I have had people tell me that they've been discriminated against when they were trying to purchase something for a couple of disabled people. So, they're biased and conscious or unconscious can enter into these. And is that
Sure.
fair? And if it's
It can, but what about the people who want to discriminate against someone who doesn't have a pet? They're entirely they should be allowed to do so. But if your bill were to become law, the realtor, oh no, don't send them a picture, don't show them Sadie. That's a potential problem.
Well, I guess, Dan, if we think it's okay to discriminate against what kind of pet you have, but this is how
Well, look,
I just think it's worth
appreciate-
having a conversation, as we're
right.
we have a history of redlining in this country. That came out in testimony right before my bill was heard in our committee hearing. And I just think we should be careful about that.
Sure, we should be careful, and I appreciate you being such a good sport and coming on the show. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.